Hello, my name is Michael Berger, and I have an associate's degree in mechanical engineering and a bachelor's degree in digital science. I have a certificate in AutoCAD and cybersecurity. I worked as a student IT assistant at the University of Akron, a math tutor at Stark State College, SMT operator at Airborne Electronics, and as a student team leader at Kent State University in the fan-rated desktop support department.
And my name is Gregory Hess. I have a bachelor's degree in digital sciences from Kent State University. I have a Test-Out Security Pro certification, as well as numerous certifications through LinkedIn courses. I've held numerous IT positions in end-user support across Kent State, Beechwood Systems, and Northeast Ohio, and in my local area, in local town of Northeast Ohio, as I reside. And I'm en route to a rotational in Brooklyn, Ohio, this coming summer. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the TechIT Podcast. We got a packed episode for you today. It is December 17th of 2022. As we kind of give you a nice little roundup of stories that we found interesting this week, and we even put a little foray into stuff that might be a little bit outside of tech today. I'm your host, Gregory, here with my friend Mike as well, as my other host of the podcast, here on this kind of cold, still day here in Ohio.
What is it like up there for you, Greg? What's the temperature at?
It's just below 30. The snow finally came down yesterday. So,
I was complaining yesterday when it was 56 down here. I was like, oh man, that's too cold.
I'd give for like 40-ish right now, because every time snow falls down here, my circle here gets a little bit paranoid. Like, oh, what's your gun? It's nothing. It's not even an inch outside.
Oh man, but you have to remember that people don't get that that snow means ice, and ice is dangerous. So like, just be safe
like
out
ice
there.
in the parking lots, yeah.
Yeah, be safe out there when you guys are driving around. But how's your week been going, Greg?
It's been good. Work's been slowing down because everyone's taking PTO, because they have families, and, I don't have a family of my own. So I get that they want to take off now to be around their family to the holidays. So I'm going to have a nice chill week going into the last 2 weeks of this year while I round up the last of the gifts that are supposed to come in right before Christmas Eve.
Yeah, it's the opposite on my side. I'm, as a manager of a shipping store, we have people coming in all the time trying to ship packages and get all their stuff squared away before the new year. So yeah, its business has been picking up, and yeah, I'm just excited to get in the new year, and I'm sure things will definitely improve for everybody out there if you set your goals and strive to accomplish them. But speaking of accomplishing stuff, let's dive right into our first topic here in the tech news. With the police are in San Francisco are deploying killer robots.
Yeah, so this is a story I kind of wanted to pass along to everyone as granted, it's a little bit old and updates are kind of slow with this one over time, but it was a vote on the San Francisco board that the vote was passed 8-3 to grant police the option, despite strong objections from oversight groups, to enlist in remote-controlled robots in emergency situations. It's a very divisive debate with drones being involved with things here civilly, as people are no pronounced with how drones can be used for commercial use, as well as sort of international threats, as well as some of us have gathered to know over the past decade. But overall, I don't know what to take with this, because I tried to reach out to my circle of people that are in the West about their thoughts, and I haven't really gotten a response to that yet. regarding what their thoughts are with this coming out. But I don't know how I'd feel with a drone being like around a neighborhood or the streets.
Well, I think my main issue with this is just the idea of using lethal force. Um, I'm okay with. I know this is kind of like off topic of robots, but I'm okay with using non-lethal force to subdue criminals. But I think there's always an option to use non-lethal force over lethal force. Even when it comes to like people that are just really dangerous, I think there's always a way to save lives. I'm totally against just killing people. I think that we need to strive to find the cause of the problem that's making people act in negative ways, rather than because like once you kill them, you can't figure out what went wrong with that person, right?
Yeah, as that's been a lot of letters that have been sent to this public defender's office in San Francisco regarding that sort of the unknowing nature of how these will go, as many have voiced their concerns about this, with these drones having, quote, the ability to kill community members remotely,
Yes,
which
exactly.
which
And imagine if this to nail back into the tech point. What if this fell into the wrong hands? Like that's just uh another way for cyber criminals to kind of either whether they're taking the law into their own hands or just causing all kinds of doing all kinds of wrongdoings for whatever reasons. I think this is kind of scary. Um, Now what I think it was in the article they said they weren't just giving robots guns; it was like some kind of explosives, right?
oh yeah, like satchel charges. It notes the
Yeah.
first time a robot was used in this sort of manner was to deliver explosives in 2016 when someone in Dallas, well, the Dallas Police Department sent in an armed robot with this explosive to kill a hold-up sniper who I guess had a body count of 5 officers after an ambush that happened that year. And they were trying to weed out the sniper with this drone that had, I guess, a satchel charge in its lap. But it's a threat also, not just for cyber criminals, Mike, but also for regular criminals. Like, if like a regular criminal found a way to just disable this thing and turn it against the people, that is a giant threat in and amongst itself. If like a criminal just sort of, just rewires the thing,
Yeah, if they
gets a
could
hold
get
of
their
it,
hands
turns
on
on the
it,
cops.
yeah. I was thinking more of just being able to tap into the signal, uh, and take control of it that way. But yeah, if they got their hands on it physically and were able to make it work for them to the point where we couldn't take it back over or signal jam it or whatever, that's definitely a problem.
I mean, other concerns as well have brought up about this as it's being like a non-progressive move in a city that's known for being progressive. Is noted in here, as well as the whole nature of, again, the threat to community. Just seeing it, like, you could be like out in the town and just seeing one of these out in public could just be very dystopian-esque, for lack of a better word, for like children and like others to see this in like their own city in sort of like a real-time moment. But as well as there's because this is America, there's race implications, which I'm not saying that's wrong, with measures being enforced back in 2017 for live feeds for this, rather the concerns of people of color, as well as the amount of monitoring that might go in with these things as well, obstructing laws about privacy.
Now, when they talk about racism in this sense, are they talking about these using like against like as hate crimes? Or are they talking about just the fact that they would only use these against, I don't know, that I don't know. That I feel like they brought race into this for no reason. Like, we'll just leave it as killing is wrong, and that's it. You know?
Well, yeah, that's my big argument here. Is that my biggest point here is that they're using this for like another way to just distribute lethal force, and lethal force isn't really needed. Like, I think you can even bring back the rope technique where you just rope up the bad guys like they do in cowboy movies. I don't know.
There's so many
Man
options here.
catchers. Thailand has these man catchers where you just kind of get this thing that looks like a giant like pincer reach around thing, and you just try to chase someone with it, and it just goes around their body without stabbing them or hurting them. And you can immobilize them by just shoving them to the wall with one of these man catchers they have in South Asia. But
Interesting.
I'll keep posted on this as drone use has only increased in America since the mid 2010s with commercial releases and laws like this being passed around, which Oakland, the sister city of San Francisco, seemingly has just turned down a measure of this in their own cities. So I don't know how much of a far reach this has in California, let alone other police departments besides, the ones in Texas where they love their police department more than they do in other parts of the country. But
well, I was going to say just to wrap this up here, another method of non-lethal force is tasers, and I think implementing something that into a drone, I think that's just a smarter and safer. Because like, what if you hit the wrong target? What if it's a hostage situation and you hit the wrong target? I know it's not a gun thing, but like, I don't know. I think that's just better. I think using tasers I think there's other types of non-lethal force. What is it, like beanbag shotgun, like shotgun shells with beanbags in them?
Yeah,
there's all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I think more research needs to be done into that end. But let's go ahead and jump into our next topic with the collapse of FTX.
Okay, so this is we usually have one story that is the bigger one of all of them, but this might take the case already so far in this recording today, as the actual media actually cares about this, which is saying something. But I'll get to reasons later as to why I think the mainstream has finally caught upon this news, because usually the mainstream ignores crypto media or anything connected to crypto news the same way someone might avoid that one friend of yours that keeps trying to get you to try drugs.
I thought you were going to say the way they avoid like foreign news or something, because sometimes it feels like they don't acknowledge foreign news.
Well, yeah, we kind of do here. We kind of do avoid foreign news, such as the likes of those in the outer reaches of across the Atlantic Ocean or even the Pacific. But back to FTX. So, for those that are not familiar, FTX is a cryptocurrency exchange, and it had a massive debacle over the past, let's say, over a month, where they declared bankruptcy mid-November, and the big stamp on everything that's happened has fallen on the CEO, Sam Bankman-Fried. And you've probably seen his picture around on mainstream news sites for his connections with how he supposedly donated a lot to Democrats in California and the like, which, as of recording, they're trying to return it because they don't want his money from this guy that we'll get into his current charges later. But it's a sticky situation he's got himself in, as he's currently facing charges, I think at least 8 charges of defrauding, wire fraud, as well as conspiracy to defraud a lot of people, as well as those in connection to it, such as celebrities, are also roped into this in a separate lawsuit as well.
Didn't he already have some? I'm surprised people would use an exchange that he's a part of. Didn't he already have a lot of stuff going on in the news that kind of decredited him?
Yeah, he was already kind of being a two-face, as some would call it. We're just going like, oh yeah, I know what I'm talking about. You'll be able to look at this as well. Like, because one of the ways to monitor your money is through FTT tokens, and with crypto and the blockchain, it's supposed to be built so that it's transparent, so you can know and monitor it constantly with one of those crypto wallets that are about the size of a Swiss Army knife. Those
Great.
things.
So one thing I listened to a couple of podcasts about crypto, and one thing you should never do is keep your crypto on an exchange. One I listened to is Son of a Tech, and he always says not your keys, not your crypto. So if this is something you're putting on an exchange, it's kind of like you're storing it at a bank that's not backed by the government or not backed by the Fed. So basically, they have free reign over that money. They can do whatever they want with it, and because they have control of it. So the best way to store your crypto is on a wallet, on your PC, on your flash drive. I wouldn't want to say on your phone because someone can just take your phone. But so if once your crypto is in your position, when it's on your hardware, that's when you have control over it. Or that's when it's the most secure, especially if you password protect your security key. You want to keep that off of anything. You want to make sure your computer is secure. I could go into this for hours, but the best place to keep your crypto is either on your PC, on a wallet, or and I think that the next step up from that is on a flash drive. They have special flash drives for keeping your crypto on it too, that are like password encrypted and all that. So not your keys. Just remember that, not your keys, not your crypto. If your crypto's on an exchange, you will always have the chance of someone just, if either the exchange dying out, someone taking it. It's just not a secure place to keep it. Exchanges are great for once you have accumulated enough crypto that you want to sell it off for another form of crypto, or maybe you want to cash out and buy a car or whatever. But make sure you do your research first. I think if any of these people that were on the exchange just did a little bit of research into Sam Bankman, they would have been like, maybe we should use another exchange. But, so yeah, do your own research.
Yeah, and research was kind of the main big overarching term for this, as it seemed like he was very misleading regarding with his investors, particularly, especially when the whole news broke out last month in November with the bankruptcy announcement. And this is a company, again, that got a lot of press, surprisingly, for a crypto exchange. I'm talking about Super Bowl ads, like the one with Larry David during the Super Bowl, celebrity endorsements from the likes of the Kardashians, as well as I think Tom Cruise, Jimmy Fallon, and Kimmel had roped into this as well, because crypto overall is not ending at its strongest point that it had before, and it's going to be telling with this about what crypto's future becomes, as well as Silicon Valley startups in general, with now Silicon Valley having more than a fair half dozen of publicized fraudulent companies come out of it and say to everyone, we're trustworthy, give us your money. And they take the money, and then you have cases like the Wall Street Journal citing anonymous sources saying FTX at one point needed $8 billion in 2 weeks to pay off the bankruptcy notice, even though he cited his connection and supposed affair with Alameda's personnel, which I'm not going to get into that because he also kind of dated the founder of Alameda, but that's kind of obsessed with that now, as he thought Alameda had enough collateral to help him, but they didn't, which led to his arrest earlier in December when he tried to run away to the Bahamas. So it's a mess, but
yeah, and I hope the crypto comes back. And there's a lot of speculation that it's going to take so many years for it to get back on its feet. But I think the main point we need to take away from crypto is that crypto has an amazing potential, and it has its place in the market. Even though a lot of times it's hard to, you have to do your own research and find out where the safe place is to put your money, or whether it's mining crypto, buying crypto, selling crypto. You have to do a lot of research to find out where you're investing, if where you're investing in is safe. And at the end of the day, it's really about the reason we invented crypto is to kind of as a safeguard for not the wealthy, for the some of the poorest, and a lot of people that don't have a lot of money. It's to safeguard their money during times like this, during times of hardship in the markets where inflation is gone nuts. It's supposed to kind of like counteract inflation. So it has its purpose. We just really need to. I think a good takeaway is just hang in there, because as an investor, I don't want my money to be devalued by inflation. And if crypto becomes a place where I can keep it during times of hardship, I think that's beneficial to all.
Yeah, and trying to nip this story in the bud here, it was also said that one of the first investors of FTX named Goander named Zhao, there was a potential for Binance to help bail out FTX, but he cited that Zhao decided reports that FTX had mismanaged user funds and information gleaned during the standard due diligence process for such deals, which they couldn't get the bailing out, quote unquote, to happen because of that. And now we're facing this guy, Sam Bankman-Fried, or SBF. He's he's gonna face a world of eyes and ears on him, especially now for someone that didn't want eyes and ears on him.
Yeah, he did a lot of shady stuff. I think I said that he siphoned a lot of money into a research company, right?
As well as trading and research, which they're more mad about him using people's money for his own trading.
Mm-hmm.
Well, invest money.
So yeah, he's definitely going to have a lot of charges brought up on him for that. But let's go ahead and break our way into the next topic, as we've been going on this one for a while.
Yeah, you can see follow-ups about this with a YouTuber I know called CoffeeZilla. I recommend his content regarding finance news, and he has a good 2-3 videos about the SBF situation with FTX collapsing. So CoffeeZilla, coffee like the drink, Zilla like the end of Godzilla. Now, the next story here I want to touch upon has a different beat to it altogether, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on this, Mike, and maybe you, the viewers out there and listeners out there. Cultivated beef. It's a hit piece I've seen on TechCrunch.com here, published just 2 days ago, and they're wondering what the marketability of this is, with a lot of mock companies such as Beyond Meat and the like doing strides, and I see their locations pop up around Ohio just here. But marketability.
So let's go into what cultivated beef is. It's not beef grown from a cow. It's something grown in a lab, right?
Yeah.
So right off the bat, I'm kind of saucy about this. Like, first of all, the FDA approved it, and a little bit to rag on our FDA. Our FDA, if you look at the history at the FDA, they're not exactly approving things that I would approve.
Well, yeah, there's the whole food pyramid thing. Which,
oh my gosh!
Approved for schools.
Dude, that's just
we could talk for like 8 hours on why the food pyramid went up.
That is a tip of the iceberg. Is the food pyramid? Oh my gosh! If you look at the history, if you just type in FDA, the history of the FDA, and look at the worst things they've approved and all the bad things that went through the FDA, you'd be amazed. But let's not too hard. First of all, I'm not gonna I would not be the first person to try this out. I think I would want to wait a while and see how it affected the health of the people consuming it. Because we already have a bunch of terrible, like our grocery stores are littered with stuff that's not even food that we should be not putting in our bodies.
Oh yeah, like
What would you say? 90% of what's in the grocery store, probably 95% of what's in the grocery store these days.
yeah,
We should be
I'd
not
lower
eating.
to I'd say plus or minus 5% with that.
Yeah.
With
So
like
I would
going
say,
to it's bad when Whole Foods is like the best option, and Whole Foods it's like $10 for like a couple apples.
yeah, and they charge you out the ass. Excuse my language, but they charge you because they know that like everything else is not even food anymore. It's
Oh
just
yeah,
like unless you and then you like get like even if you went to the produce section and you picked up like an apple, you're like, oh, how many chemicals has this been sprayed with before I put it in my mouth? That's the sad part is like the stuff that you would think would be something that you could trust. You have to there's guides on how to clean your vegetables to get all the like
yeah.
there's intensive like you have to do like some kind of like bath for your vegetables just to get all the chemicals out of them. Even then, I wouldn't trust it.
Well, yeah, that's what are tying it back to this. There's the whole move for this is for the whole sustainability argument, which both of us are fans of stability here at the TechIT Podcast.
Yeah,
It just gets a
sustainability
little
is
bit it gets a little bit crooked when I see uh the marketing for this, which first off there isn't really much marketing for this already, but the value of this or the market for this is said to expected. That's the important word, expected. So it's not saying it's going to happen. But the market is expected to reach just under $2 billion by 2035. So I'll be almost like 40 years old, and that's when it'll be at like a good rate.
I don't know. I think I'd give this a good 10 to 50 years before I put that in my mouth.
So
But anyway, but for sustainability purposes, I like that they're trying. I just think significant testing is and experimentation is a long process that could take anywhere from 10 to 100 years just to see what effects this has on the population.
there's studies are like trying to help us with how much this will like provide regarding sustainability and environmental stability and impact, which they say in this Good Food Institute report that it can have a reduction of over 80% in environmental impact compared to traditional beef production, which many people, mostly on the progressive side of things, have pointed fingers at the beef production, putting a lot of pollution in the air, as well as bad conditions and the like. But
yeah, definitely we could do a whole podcast on health and like stuff in the grocery store. So I'm not gonna go into it too hard, but
yeah, that might be a 2023 thing where you're talking about food technology.
Oh yeah,
And hopefully we don't stomp on the FDA too much.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna tear the FDA a new one.
Even though there are things like subsidies and lobbying and a lot of that dirty money mess that happened with the FDA before me and you were even ideas.
If you grow your own food from scratch and like cook everything from scratch, you can taste the difference. Oh my gosh, I've grown my own.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you have heard of microgreens, Greg, but I've grown my own microgreens, and the flavor is just way better than anything I've ever gotten in stores.
Microgreens is an actual vegetable term, people. It's not weed. It's not.
Yeah, so it's just younger versions of the vegetables you eat. They're just smaller, but they're nutrient packed. They're so delicious.
It's more concentrated.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great word.
Oh well, yeah. I'll look at this story a bit more, and Mike will also as well with the sustainability versus do we need this argument at play here with having a separate food episode on technology down the line in next year. But for one discovery to one recent discovery regarding the big topic of alternative power. And You were the one that told me about this news the
Yeah,
other day.
so it's funny because it was all over TikTok. Like understandably, yeah, it's a huge like we've been trying to just it's nuclear fusion. We've been trying to make nuclear fusion workable as a power source for since we developed the nuclear bomb, even before that, probably.
80
Uh,
years.
yeah, so um, this is the future of energy. And one thing I know that a lot of people are thinking out there is when will the power be cheaper again? Because I know everybody's been seeing the rise in price of power, and they're
Uh-huh.
saying they're making all these excuses for it, and we know that this is a sustainable reaction where you put energy in and it gives you more energy out. So it's a sustainable reaction. Um it's the same process that happens in our sun.
Near limitless clean energy potential.
Yeah, way cleaner than what we use in our nuclear fission plants. So um,
Let's just preface
fission,
that difference.
yeah. So fission, the waste you get is radioactive, and you have to store it and keep it in these silos. Um, Fusion's a whole different story. So uh, fission, you're breaking your atoms apart, and you get all this nuclear waste that's radioactive. Fusion, you're putting stuff together, and you're getting even more power out of it than you would with fission. It's an amazing, and it's just an amazing technology. I can't even hype it up because I know that all the science nerds out there are like, oh my gosh, this is such a great achievement. But it's going to be slow coming because there's a lot of engineering work that needs to go into designing facilities to mass produce such a thing, and there's a lot of safety concerns, especially on my mind, like because the way it's produced can potentially be dangerous if it gets out of control. Um, when I first saw this, I was like, "The power of the sun in my hands." You've seen that Spider-Man?
Spider-Man 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
He
god.
just did it in his lab.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely promising, and I can't wait to see those energy prices come down. Um, and I'm sure a lot of other people can't wait too, and it's great for the environment too. So
Yeah. So
definitely an interesting story.
just to outline what they achieved, the facility was used a set of 192 lasers to deliver 2.05 megajoules of energy into a pea-sized gold cylinder with a containing a frozen pellet of hydrogen isotopes, deuterium and tritium. The pulse of energy caused the capsule to collapse, creating temperatures only seen in stars and thermonuclear weapons. And that through this process, it released additional energy and creating a cascade of fusion reactions within that pinpoint reaction. Which I'm no scientist. I was just in mostly general science courses back in grade school. So this is a lot. And of course, since it's America, I wonder if down the line, by the time me and Mike are old and have families, that we'll try to still love when we're 50 and old.
Oh, this is
Since it's America, I wonder how they'll commercialize this.
Oh, they definitely will, and I'm sure it's coming down the line quickly. And another point that I just remembered is for our nuclear power plants, we import a lot of uranium, and all countries need our uranium. We have to import it because I don't think we do a lot of money for uranium in the U.S. So it's imported. It definitely saves us money on importing uranium once this technology is up and running. So we're not so it reduces our reliance on other countries. Making our making us a little bit stronger. So like even if you think about other fuel sources like coal and stuff, I'm sure there's some of that stuff we import as well. So it just gives us a stronger backbone for power.
Oh yeah, and it just makes America just look like we're more formidable by ourselves. Because with recent concerns saying how America shouldn't play a policed in all these matters. Like, and I agree. Sometimes America's been looked as kind of dumb when, like, I see countries like China and Japan and well, mostly China and Japan developing stuff that's beyond our technology. Like the other day, I saw that Japan made these robots that do sewage work because they have such low counts of workers in Japan, the same way we are here. So they made these robots, these microbots that help clean the sewage in the across Japan's systems, and they greenlit it in one of the cities in Japan. I think it was Hokkaido, but this is a good step to just bring it back here. It's full circle. This is a good step in just alternative, better energy for the country and just for the people living in it, as well as just success from America's scientists for a change, rather than someone across the ocean.
And the environment. And speaking of the environment, let's jump into one of the TikToks we have for today. And this is a TikTok about using your old laptop screens as a second monitor. And I loved this one. This was great. It shows you how to like remove the old monitor from. I'm sure I'm not the only one that has a bunch of old laptops laying around, but it shows you how to remove the old monitor from your old laptops, and then it shows you what device you need to hook it up and make it a second monitor. But I have like 2-3 old laptops laying around that I'm not even using.
Yeah, I do hear, man, and well, it's just a way to help refurbish old technology you're not using, especially because the most left out technologies just laying around the house are like old smartphones and old laptops. And this is the best for the latter purpose. Just keep reusing it, so you don't just throw in a dumpster and it causes
you don't want to fill up those landfills.
It adds more to the trash problem.
Exactly, and you know I always say reduce, reuse, reduce.
It's reduce, reuse, recycle.
Or what is it? What? I'm sorry.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Something like I thought it was 3 R's.
Yeah, that's 3 R's.
Reuse. Oh no, you're right. Reduce, reuse, recycle. That's right. I'm be tripping. Anyway, so let's jump into our next topic here.
Yeah, that TikTok was by a user named TechFullGoodies, all lowercase. If you want to check it out, it's good content. Even though the country currently is trying to ban TikTok currently. So that's for mostly government purposes, but we wanted to cover that today, but the amount of information for that wasn't available to us or the public, as a lot of it's still pending on how big that conversation's going. So getting to our final story here, Mike, what's Valve up to?
The Valve. Okay, so yeah, some answers about the Steam Deck.
Yeah,
so maybe a possible Steam controller 2, maybe some new games coming out for the Steam Deck. In this article, one of the things that kind of caught my attention was they plan to support the Steam Deck for as long as people play it. So they're talking software upgrades, hardware upgrades. So this definitely has a lot of potential in the gaming community.
Oh yeah, very much so. As me personally, back when we covered it coming out and being released earlier this year, back in March, April-ish of this year, I wasn't that hopeful for it. I knew it was a good venture for Steam to try, but I didn't know how successful it'd be. But according to this piece on TheVerge.com, you and like always, all our stories you can look at in the description of our podcast episodes that we put out on our platforms. But this item was the top selling item on Steam for 30 of the past 41 weeks from the day of this article coming out just a couple days ago. So that is a good that's a good statistic right there for trying to get out a new hardware in a market that already has a lot of handheld big names in it, like the Switch. And
Yeah,
and even play with DSs still, you know.
And Steam does a lot of things right. They do a lot of things wrong, but they do a lot of things right.
Yeah.
I think they have a lot of potential there. I think they need to get less greedy with their. I think with the percentages they give the people that they're licensing or getting the games from are kind of low. At least that's what I've heard.
I think it's like 30%.
Yeah, they're taking. Steam is taking a huge chunk of it just to host their games.
Rightly so, but continue with this. It's like they looked at interviews regarding Steam Deck designers Lawrence Yang and Pierre Loup Grafas. I probably mispronounced that last one. Regarding plans for the future regarding this hardware as well as Steam products in general. As they know that they're going to keep pushing updates for this as well as get those bug lists in.
And support for newer games. That I noticed they mentioned games like Elden Ring, Forza. They're saying that they're optimizing their drivers so that they just run more smoothly or have less lag, or just these small quality of life updates that really push the Steam Deck into the public eye.
Mm-hmm. And they voiced other concerns, such as I guess the battery is one of the hardest pieces to replace on a Steam Deck, should it have to be. As the person called it, why all the glue on the battery? And to just kind of paraphrase what one of the developers said, Griffiths, it's a very heavy component with respect to the rest of the deck. It would be a very bad experience to have a battery that's loose in there, so hence all the glue. To some of our early prototypes, we had that issue, and I'll tell you, it doesn't feel good at all. And when you're just moving around and trying to use your deck, because they try to go over more about the design process, as you don't want a Steam Deck maraca, and you don't want a battery possibly touching other important components and jostling them around.
Understandable.
Comparing it to like a PC, you don't want you don't want to pick up your PC and start shaking around all the little pieces in it.
And what they also want, they want to leave room for expansion for possible overheating of the battery where it expands, which is understandable. You want to there's a really tricky component to have reliable non-Morocco mechanics, I guess. So yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on in their design and see what success stories they come, or what ideas they come up with for that. But I think other than that, I think that's all we have for today, right, Greg?
Yeah, and that last story you can pick up on theverge.com as well as their YouTube channel as well. I'm pretty sure they covered it there as well. So just a nice shorter episode for you all. Thank you again for listening to us today. Be sure to give us a like, share, and any feedback you can, as well as check out our Patreon if you want to give us support there. As we do this for you as during our busy lives. Well, we during our busy lives of just working in the field of IT that's constantly emerging and changing, and we put out the best for you using the resources that we have, as well as covering what the mainstream ignores with respect to the FTX story, which the mainstream news will cover until they dry that up like a raisin.
Understandable.
So
But that's all for today. I want to thank everybody for listening and stay vigilant.
stay vigilant, everyone, and happy holidays.